So I was covering day four, trying to play by play while I'm playing the game. News was coming in left and right. It was crazy. But I got sent this. Like there was a couple different screenshots I got sent. One of them was this, and the other one was like from a different fanboy. I think it was like I don't fucking know his name, bro. I keep forgetting. Like he got like a snake as like a picture or some shit. But legit, I seen a couple of these and people was like, the deal is done. And I'm like, the deal is done. What are y'all talking about? That's still a whole nother day, bro. It's like 6 a.m. right now. I just got out from the gym and I was looking at this like, what the fuck is he talking about? Bobby sabotaging the deal. Why would Bobby do that? Why would he sabotage the deal? What does he get out of it? Activision gets $3 billion. They make 15 billion every year on Call of Duty. We went over that yesterday. What is 3 billion changing? Not a damn thing. Bobby is going to be out when the deal is done anyway. He's just making himself look better in court. He's telling the truth in court. Is it going to be detrimental to the deal? We don't know until the deal is done, until court is over. But to say that Bobby is sabotaging a deal on purpose, that he's colluding with Sony, just makes Sony and Bobby look worse. It doesn't make it doesn't make them look better, bro. Sony fans have a weird obsession with everything going Sony's way all the time, and there's even no talking points on why Bobby is sabotaging the deal. All it says is that he's making backdoor deals with PlayStation. The only person that said that was Jim Ryan himself. Who could be lying? Like Jim Ryan has been doing a lot. But I mean, we could also look at what Bobby was asked and how he responded. Because like I enjoyed the hell out of what I read. I mean, I didn't get to listen to it. It's not like I was illegally tapping in. But I mean, I was looking at the play by plays and I was reading it. And Bobby said some pretty good shit. I mean, it's Bobby Kotick, bro. His own people don't like him. Activision doesn't like him, but they can't refute what he's done for Activision. So, I mean, we could just get into it, bro. We could just get into it. Let's go to the play-by-play, the Verge. Bobby regretting not bringing the Call of Duty to the Switch. He said that because he's like the Switch looked like it was gonna be a wild little thing, and then it blew the fuck up. And he's like, "Fuck, we should have capitalized on that." But I mean, when they really start getting into it, they're like, "When Microsoft made Call of Duty suck on PlayStation," that was one thing that Sony kept saying. Sony was like, "Microsoft is going to degrade Call of Duty on a PlayStation platform," and Bobby's like, "You know how pissed gamers would get if you fuck up Call of Duty on a platform, bro? There's no way." And the people making the fucking game, Microsoft can't control them. They can't just be like, "Hey, make this game bad." No, no. They gonna put their heart and soul into the game, like they always do. They try their fucking best to make the best game possible and put that out. And then he got cross-examined by Microsoft's lawyer, and this was some of the best shit he could have possibly said in court. And it said Microsoft lawyer points out that different maps and weapons on platforms, like platform exclusive weapons and stuff, and fucking game modes. Remember, Sony had that deal. And Kodak goes to say, not having these things isn't degrading a game. It's marketing. Sony currently has a marketing deal with Activision for Call of Duty. That right there gutted Sony ass. Good at Sony so quick because remember they was at the CMA talking about they can make exclusive maps and exclusive skins and stuff in the game for Call of Duty, and that's degradation of the game. And then Bobby himself comes out and say that ain't degrading of the game. That's just marketing, bro. That's just what marketing deals are about. That gutted Sony as right when they started questioning him. The first thing he did was gut Sony's argument that was degrading of the game. Them having exclusive skins on the Xbox platform is going to be detrimental to the PlayStation One. We've been making these marketing deals for a long time. Bobby don't have no reason to lie, bro. He's making so much fucking money. Why would he have to lie on the stand? Why would he have to? Why would he have to lie for Activision or I mean for PlayStation or for Xbox? He don't have to. Why? Because he's the CEO of Activision at this moment, bro. One of the biggest selling games in the world. He gets on to say that. Bobby is on the high horse because he's Bobby, bro. They start questioning him about World of Warcraft and why World of Warcraft doesn't sell as a full price game. You pay monthly to get content. And he was like, yeah, that's an old model of game. that is supposed to be played over time. So people just pay to access the content that they want to over time. And I'm like, I mean, it is an old model. That was like the beginning of like live service games because MMOs were live service games at the moment. Now every game wants to be live service, but none of them can can perform like an actual live service game can. Most of them can anyway. I mean, Fortnite's doing pretty fucking well, but like World of Warcraft was one of those things that were live service. It's still live service, and people love that shit. It is crazy. Then they go on to talk about why Activision wasn't interested in Game Pass and stuff like that. And he's like, because big media companies are all failing at it. So why the hell would he be interested in the Game Pass model, in the subscription service thing? They experimented, they tried it out. And it like, I mean, they don't really see the money coming in that they do from subscription service that they do with just selling the fucking game. Which is true. Which is true. We saw yesterday. We talked about it yesterday. Activision makes a lot of fucking money on Call of Duty. Makes a lot of money. What did Sony redacted messages say? 15 billion worldwide? Call of Duty every year? Why the fuck would they want to see a dip in it? The revenue is crazy. What would subscription services do better or worse at? I mean, it makes sense. He's telling the truth. Microsoft have a subscription thing. They're the only ones succeeding in it. Then you talk about how big Call of Duty is. They asked him. Call of Duty has been the number one selling console game for 13 years in a row. They made $1 billion in 10 days for Modern Warfare 2. Crazy. These are crazy numbers. And he's like, even trash games, Vanguard was a disappointment for Activision, and it still was the number one selling console game. And they like, this is the power Activision has with Call of Duty. This isn't detrimental to what Microsoft has been saying about anything, but what it is saying is that Call of Duty, no matter if it's good or bad, because remember, Vanguard was horribly received, it still was the number one selling game. It still was the number one selling. It still was doing numbers. Activision still made money on that shit. And it's the number one selling console game for 13 years in a row. See, Game Pass removes headlines like that. The revenue is still probably going to stay the same. But can Bobby walk up, sit on a stand and say, hey, I have the number one selling console game in the world for 13 years in a row if you launch that shit on a subscription service? No. Because a lot of people just pay the subscription and play your game. They don't have to buy your game for $70 and then hate it like Vanguard. A lot of people did. They bought Vanguard, they fucking hated it, but they still made all this money on Vanguard. It still was the number one selling console game. That doesn't change. The headlines are still going to be up there. But if it was on a subscription service and people got to try that bitch out for their subscription, $10 a month, $15 if you're paying it. I forget how much it is on PC. I think it's like 5 or something like that. And they're like, oh, bro, this shit trash. They don't have to play your fucking game. Now they're out of it. They didn't waste all their money on just fucking Call of Duty. But those headlines go away on Microsoft's Game Pass. On Xbox's Game Pass. That shit goes away. You don't get to say headlines like that, but the money stays the same. They probably still make billions of dollars on Call of Duty. The revenue probably just fucking generates itself because they didn't buy the game. A lot of people think that free to play games, since you didn't buy it, they could buy packs in it because the game was free. You didn't have to buy the game. Why do you think Fortnite makes so much fucking money? Because people didn't pay for Fortnite. So they could just buy a couple skins here and there. And then you end up spending thousands of dollars in Fortnite instead of just buying $170 game. Like, this is the mentality of gamers at this moment. So revenue would still be booming. It wouldn't change. People definitely would still be spending money on Call of Duty. Would they be buying the whole game? Probably not. But the subscription would still make them hella money. And then they talk about how Activision doesn't have any exclusive deals with nobody. So they're not like needing to be in one place. They can be everywhere. But they don't believe in a multi-subscription model because they make so much motherfucking money. But then they talk about how Sony has put it on PlayStation Plus. And he's like, I mean, that's one thing that they can't really control because they do that. But they were getting into the Nvidia thing, because Nvidia went yesterday and they talked about how Activision games were some of the most popular games on GeForce Now, and then Activision removed those, and it's like, why would you do that? And Bobby was like, they never made a deal to put Activision games on GeForce Now. They never had a deal, but Nvidia put the games on there, and they didn't take them away until Nvidia started making money on those games, and Activision wasn't. And it's like, oh no, bro, you can't do that. But if they had a deal, they would want to be getting paid for that deal. That is what Bobby was saying. Like, I would have wanted to get a real good fucking contract going to put my games on GeForce Now. But GeForce didn't really ask. They didn't really sign a deal for it. They just let those games run, and then they launched it. And they had all these Activision games on there. People just jumping in GeForce Now to play Activision games. We're like, no, bitch, buy these hoes. That is Activision's thing. Bobby's not fucking lying. He knows how to make money. He's been making money for Activision this whole time. And then they go back to the Switch thing again because Bobby said that he found out the Switch version of Call of Duty was from news reports. Like he never knew about the Microsoft deal with Nintendo if they get Activision to bring games to the Switch. Well, not to the Switch, to the next Nintendo console in the future. And he was like, I mean, he regret not doing the Switch earlier because the Switch ended up blowing the hell up. So if he saw the specs of the next Nintendo console and he liked it and it could work for his Call of Duty's image, then he would do it. But him finding out about the Nintendo deal with Microsoft isn't a detriment to the Microsoft case. It actually makes a lot of fucking sense because Microsoft and Activision can't really talk to each other legally. So if they just went to Bobby and like, hey Bobby, we're gonna make this deal with Nintendo to bring Call of Duty games to it, they would be colluding, bro. That's against the fucking law. I don't think PlayStation fans understand that. But him saying that he didn't hear about the fucking Nintendo deal until the news reports came out says that Microsoft is following the law with this Activision deal the whole way. They're not trying to tamper with anything. They really want this deal to go through. And Bobby's like, hey, bro, I mean, they see what we didn't see in Nintendo back then. So they're gonna make that shit work. And he would make it work if the deal doesn't go through. Because he saw what the fuck Nintendo did, even without Call of Duty. He's like, how much money could I have been making over there? You see what the fuck Fortnite is doing on the Switch? And the game's not even good. The game's not even good. And that's all they talked about, bro. So was it really a detriment to Microsoft's case? Because he came out and literally said what everybody know he was going to say, that he has the biggest game, that he chose to not put it on subscription services because he made so much money. That doesn't change. That's all the truth. That is all Activision what they do. He did talk about some mobile stuff, and now he wants to make more mobile games. And they asked him like, why ain't y'all just make it yourselves? He's like, I mean, we could have, but like, we don't just have manpower to shift because you saw the Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 that just came out had like what 7, 8 studios all working on that one fucking game. Who the fuck is making Call of Duty mobile for them? They talk about how they went to Tencent for the first one. They talk about how they went to Tencent for the first one because they couldn't make it on their own at the time. But Microsoft could create another one. Because they asked him, why can Microsoft make a version for the Switch? And he's like, they have high level evaluation that would be required to make a Switch game because they games already go to the Switch. Some Microsoft games, like Mojang them, they all make Switch ports. They have Switch specs. They know what to do. Bobby literally ignored the Switch. He don't give a fuck what the Switch can do. So he literally said, like, Microsoft have the manpower and the business power to make a Switch port of this game. Because Activision didn't have time for it. Why? Because they went to go make money, bro. They not about to waste time making a Switch port because they already know they can make money everywhere else. But Microsoft, they have plenty of time. They can just get some, they can pay more people or get some people, stop making that. We gonna go over here, build a Switch port, and they can fund that shit themselves. Activision's like, we wasn't funding that shit, bro. It makes sense, bro. It makes sense. I enjoyed his testimony. One of the funniest things he said was the fridge thing. That shit was funny. He said playing Modern Warfare 2 on the phone would be like using a refrigerator as a safe. And I'm like, this man, Bobby's a. That shit's funny because who just pulls that out in court? They're like, you can't make this up. That's Bobby, bro. That is Bobby for sure. He's a menace. We all know he's a menace to Activision. Activision know he's a menace to the whole company. That's why when the deal goes through, Bobby takes his millions and he goes home. He retires. But that quote right there was so good because it's not like you can't use a refrigerator as a safe. There's plenty of like old drug dealers back in the day. They used to wrap all their money up in plastic and put that shit in the freezer. That was never not a thing. It's just, is it optimal to put your money in the fridge and not the safe? Is it optimal? That's what playing Call of Duty on the phone would be like. With Modern Warfare 2 in this case, they would have to make a mobile version of Call of Duty. It wouldn't just be Modern Warfare 2 on a phone, unless they're talking about the cloud. But yeah, would it be the optimal place to play Modern Warfare 2 on a phone? It makes sense, bro. I enjoyed that. I enjoyed his little testimonies that they had because then they went back to analytics and stuff like that. So then Elizabeth Bailey came back and they started doing analytics. But this is day five. Day five doesn't start for a while. There was an update because one of the Microsoft CFOs they like wrote in. So they like wrote in their testimony and they just read it out. They gonna read it out in court. So I mean I don't think hers is gonna be too important. But this is what I thought on the Bobby thing. I mean, y'all can let me know what y'all think down below. I'm gonna still do play by play. Maybe if the content is good enough, I'm gonna still read it all for myself. I don't think I'm just gonna be jumping to make videos on it because it's just gonna be a whole lot of Microsoft Analytics unless they pull a motherfucking Sony Interactive Entertainment and they don't black box they shit and we get to see what Microsoft is actually spending and making on these fucking games. That should be lovely, but who knows how that goes. The redactions, that's just wild. I'm gonna end this video right here. So thank you all for watching, like, subscribe, being new. I'm gonna probably go play some games. It's storming like hell outside, so hopefully it didn't fuck up my audio. But I'll see y'all in the next video.